Hi guys, Zaby here, bringing you a top 10 anime and manga video. Uh, reason I'm doing this is I did a video last year for my top 10 and it's changed a bit, and I was thinking maybe I could do like maybe a yearly video. But without further ado, here's number 10. Wolf's Rain. This wasn't on my video last year. Um, I've had it in my collection for a few years now, and I've watched it, I think, probably twice now. The story's about, like, when the world ends, wolves will appear and they'll find paradise. But the story is mostly about, the wolves, the characters, and their bonds with each other and them sort of surviving. It's just a terrific anime, and I would definitely advise you to at least check it out, to watch it. It's definitely one of my favorites. Well, this was the hardest, my number 10 pick to choose, because there's so much anime I like, and I saw this one and I'm like, I guess I should put it on my list. Uh, I have my top 9 was like really easy to pick, but number 10 was the hardest choice for me. But I really wanted to let people know that this is a really good anime. You should definitely check it out. Death Note. Definitely, probably on most people's lists for top 10 anime or manga series. I just happen to own the manga series of this one, but the anime is good too. Only difference is the ending. Yeah. If you don't know what Death Note is, you've probably been living under a rock. um, but if you don't know, it's about a god of death. A Shinigami drops his notebook, in which if you write anybody's name in it, they die. And he purposely drops it. And Light Yagami, a student, a very smart student, finds it, picks it up, and virtually intends to become the god of the new world by punishing people who do bad things. But it brings up the question, like, is killing bad guys like that, wrong? But according to the law, it is wrong, and like the world's best detective, who nobody knows the name of, he just goes by the name L, tries to find out who the murderer is, and this just filled with twists and turns. I mean, I love this series. All my friends love this series, and if you've honestly not heard about it, then okay. But if you've had to have at least heard about it, and if you haven't read it or watched it yet, I highly advise you to check it out. It's really, really good. Eureka 7. I love this show. Remember when it was on Adult Swim? I had to watch it every single week. And it's a mecha anime, and it's about a girl named Eureka. Well, she crashes down in right on Renton, the main male protagonist. And he lives a boring life. And but he loves the lift, but there's not really any lift spots, and lifting is basically surfboarding on the air, But she comes crashing down, and a number of things happen, and he winds up on the Nervash and aliens and government and all this cool stuff. I don't know. I don't know what to say without ruining it, honestly. But definitely give this at least a chance. Um, it's about 59 episodes, but I mean 49, but it actually says 50 on here. Fail. Check it out. Yeah. Cowboy Bebop. I mean, who doesn't love this anime? I mean, it's basically about a story about four bounty hunters and everyday life. There's not a whole lot of story except, each character has their own background and it comes back to haunt each one every time. And I think that's what helps drive the story. But, Cowboy Bebop it's just amazing. I love this show so much. Especially Edward. Ed is one of my favorite anime characters, period. I mean, she's awesome. I said she. If you've never seen this, I highly, highly recommend you watch this. I mean, there's not a lot of people I don't know who have watched this. I mean, it's a very simple story to understand, but it's just so good. And I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. It's just that good. Try it out. You won't regret it. Trigun. Trigun is an anime set on a different planet, and there's a guy on it named Vash the Stampede who has 60 billion double dollars bounty on his head, and everyone's trying to capture him, kill him, whatever they can do to capture them for the bounty. And it's just the first half of this anime is absolutely freaking hilarious. I mean, it's one of the few anime I can really laugh out loud on. I The characters, especially Vash and Wolf, you can't help but love them. But the second half of the anime sort of takes a more serious tone. But I really like this anime because it kind of conveys what would happen if if you saved everyone, whether they were good or bad. If you saved their life, is that really saving another life? If you save one life, and he goes on to kill maybe hundreds more other people, is that really saving more lives? I really like that underlying theme of this whole series because Vash. Uh, I guess I shouldn't give it away, but this is definitely a really good anime. And if you don't mind if it's a little older animated, same with Cowboy Bebop and a few others. I mean, I actually prefer the old hand drawn style anime rather than some of the stuff they do today, even though I still like it today. I really like that hand drawn style, which this really has. So, uh, give it a watch, give it a read. Uh, you won't regret it. Tengen Toppa Guren Lagann. Mouthful, ain't it? It's a mecha anime about a guy named Kaminan Simone living in the ground, virtually, with no power, fear of the roof collapsing and crushing them all. They know nothing else. Then a girl comes down named Yoko, battling a giant robot, and it takes them on a whirlwind adventure of tragedy, love, laughter. It's very. You shouldn't take it too seriously, though. It's so over the top, and it's funny, but it's also sad, and I mean, you get to really care for the characters in this one. That's part of the reason why I like Gurren Lagann. It's such a I've always loved this anime. I mean, it's the first wall scroll. The first anime wall scroll I ever bought was for Gurren Lagann. It's such a good anime. It's not that long of an anime. Maybe 27 episodes in this anime. Code Geass, Lelouch of the Rebellion. This, especially R2, I mean, this anime is just, oh, I love it. I don't even know what to say, honestly. It's just so good. I mean, it's. I guess there's some similarities I can see with this one and Death Note, but I think this one does it a lot better because I think you feel more for the characters in this one as compared to Death Note. They're a little more like hollow, I guess, than in Code Geass. All the characters, I mean, I think you care for a little more in general. But it's also got mecha. It's also another mecha anime. If you can't tell, I'm a mecha fan. Stories about Lelouch, who used to be an heir to the throne of Britannia. And Britannia has come over to Japan. They took over Japan along with a lot of other places in the world. And they sealed Japan off differently from Britannia and called that Area 11. And that just, there's a big feud, there's a war. But what happens is Lelouch gets caught up in a series of events and he gains a power called Geass, which he can use to kill or tell anybody once what they want to do. And the first thing he does is actually all the soldiers that capture him, he tells them to kill themselves. Uh, but he has a little sister who's blind named Nonali, and virtually everything he does is for her. And I mean, it's such a good anime. I mean, it can be heartbreaking at times, especially the final episode. Um, this is one of the few animes where I really my favorite character is Lelouch. Lelouch is a great character. Most animes, I actually there's like a different character. Not even the main character is my favorite. A lot of people tend to not like the main character as much as some of the others. They might have another favorite, but for this one, it's definitely Lelouch. I urge you to pick this up if you can find it for a decent price anymore. I know it's Code Geass is I think getting up there in price, but it could be worth it. Or look it up online somewhere. Naoki Urasawa's Monster. This is a must read. Or if you can find the anime somewhere online, it's 75 episodes. This will blow your mind. It is so good. And it's probably one of the most believable manga I've ever read. I mean, the characters are fleshed out, they're pretty realistic considering, but I, I'm going to try to explain this like a really short explanation of the beginning, but it's kind of hard to. But basically, it's about Dr. Kenzo Tenma is pretty much a brain surgeon who he's the best of the best of the best of the best, and stuff comes. He's working at a hospital that cares more about money and prestige rather than actually helping people, and he doesn't like that. One day he saves a boy named Johann who got shot in the head. He lives several years, comes to find out he's a mass murderer. Now, I said that in a nutshell, but that's really fast forwarding it. That's cutting. I didn't say a lot of the bulk of what happens in there. A lot happens in between everything I just said. But I mean, it's so good. It's not about a real monster, if you're wondering. There's no actual like monsters in it. It's just like the human monster inside you. I urge everybody to read this. I love this series. This was my number 2 for a very long time. But now there's this series, which I do not own anything of as far as anime or manga go. I'm waiting for the anime to be released. Now you're wondering what it is. It's an anime that actually came out this year. It's an anime everybody's talking about. It's an anime I have absolutely fallen in love with, and that is Attack on Titan. Oh my god, I can't believe how good that series was. I was just watch. I was bored one day. I'm like, well, I'm seeing Attack on Titan stuff everywhere on Facebook, on the internet, and everything. So I'm like, okay, I'll check it out. It looked decent. Watched the first episode. I was hooked. I was hooked on that like a fish. I won't swear, but man, you need to see that show. It's like the king of cliffhangers, that show. But it's so good. It's dark. It's engrossing. You can't stop watching that show after one episode. That's what made it so hard to wait for the next episode to come out. But man, I love it. It's about giant titans who eat people. There's a wall that protects the last remaining humans from the titans on the outside of the wall. All of a sudden, one day, boom, there's a freaking giant colossal titan. Kicks in that wall. Titans come in and eat it. Not everyone, but a lot of people. Our main character, Aaron, escapes after he's watched his mother get eaten, and he vows revenge on them. And a lot of crap happens in that show. I like I said, Naoki Urasawa's Monster was number 2 for a long time, and my number 1 pick, which anybody who knows me in real life knows I'm a complete freaking fanboy of that series. I love this. I loved Attack on Titan, and I can't wait for a season 2. There better be a season 2, but I cannot wait for season 2 to come out because the manga is still ongoing. I have not read the manga because I'm waiting to watch the anime for this one. Um, but I urge you to check it out any way you can. Any way possible. You need to see that anime. Dun, 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 dun. Berserk. My all-time favorite series. All-time favorite series. The artwork is bloody amazing. The story is even better than the artwork, which is probably better than most series you've ever seen. I just opened up to a random page. Every page is this detailed. I don't have the best camera, but you can still see the detail. I'm just opening up pages here. But the story's even better than the artwork. And it's been around since 1989. I have all the anime, all the manga for it. And it's oh man. I could just literally sit here and tell you the entire story. I've read this so many times. Berserk is by far the best thing I've ever seen or read. It was a long time ago. I think I was 2000. I want to say 2008, 2007, 2008. Uh, Again, I was bored and I wanted a manga to read, so I went online. I don't really uh, read manga online or watch anime online too much. It's really not my thing. I honestly just like having a book in my hands to read. But I was bored. I went out on a limb. I once heard about, on some random site, a thing called Berserk. I read it, I read it, I read it, I read it. Oh my god, I need to own this. It's a story about Guts, the Black Swordsman, going around killing demons for some odd reason. You never know. You don't know why he's doing it yet, but he's got some sort of libido against him and he wants to kill them all. He's got a mark on his head that bleeds every time a demon comes around. It's called the brand. And there's something called the Bailet that he's trying to get his hands on to find the God Hand, which gave him the brand. But you don't know why yet. And that's about 3 volumes. Then the next 10 volumes is kind of like a backstory, which is the bulk of it, which I urge you to read. Though if you watch the anime, that's what the 10 volumes are. Volume 13 will blow your mind. Seriously. I mean, if I guess it's not for the faint of heart. If you can't handle a lot of blood and gore and attempted rape scenes and some successful rape scenes, which is it's awful to say, but there is a lot of rape in it. But it's a medieval. It takes place in medieval times, so I mean, there's a lot of. I'm guessing there's probably a lot of rape like that back then. There's less. I don't know what to call it, but I get in a way it makes sense why there's rape. I even wish there was a little less than that. But I mean this I love this series more than any other series there is out there. And I have ever since I really got into it. And I think if you gave it a chance, even if you weren't even a medieval fan, if you gave it a chance, I think that you might enjoy it too. I urge everybody to watch or read this series. Berserk, my number one. Now, I thank you all for watching my top 10 anime and manga video. I know I'm not the best at formulating words from my head to my mouth. I'm better at writing it down, which is why my last top 10 video was so. You didn't see me. I wasn't talking to anybody. I'm getting better, I think, at actually talking. But the last video was all like written down. I told you my opinion with some music in the background, and it most of the stuff on my list is the same, but kind of moves around a little bit. There's a couple new ones, but Berserk's it's probably always going to be my number one series. I love Berserk, but there's a lot of anime and manga that I love. Two honorable mentions I'd like to note is Dragon Ball Z, because Dragon Ball Z is what got me into anime in the first place. On Toonami, after school every day, I had to watch uh, Dragon Ball Z, whether it was a rerun or a new episode, I didn't care. I loved Dragon Ball Z, and that's what got me into anime and manga in the first place. My other notable honorable mention is Bleach. Bleach was the first series I ever collected. I used to get Shonen Jump magazine all the time, and the very first series I ever read in it was a preview of Bleach, and it always stuck in my head because it was just a preview, and I wanted that series. And so I think maybe a year later, I went out and bought the first volume, and then I kept formulating more. I've only got 30 volumes now because I kind of stopped collecting for that one for a while because it was starting to get hard to keep up with it. Now I'm like really behind. But definitely, Dragon Ball Z and Bleach are definitely two honorable mentions for me. Others that were on last year's list, I believe I had Naruto on there too. And I still love Naruto because I think out of it's I really do like Naruto. I mean, call me a Narutard, if you will. It it's a good show. I mean, besides the massive filler, I mean, it has a good amount of action, and there's actually some meaning to it. And I think that's something that Bleach has lost over time. It's just a lot of fighting, fighting, fighting after the Soul Society arc in saving Rukia. In Bleach, I think it's just sort of become fight, 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 replicate sort of the Soul Society arc every time. So, but I'm gonna collect it. I still love Bleach. Um, no, I've learned my lesson though with Naruto and like One Piece. It's too hard for me to collect those ones. I mean, I'm poor, and my whole collection is a lot of the money I've been able to afford over years. I have a lot more than maybe others, but like it's not as big as maybe some others too. But I mean, I've got all my favorite series except for Attack on Titan. But again, thank you for putting up with me and thank you for watching. I hope maybe that my opinions and some of my favorites that maybe you haven't seen yet, you'll see because you watched this video. And That would make me happy, and that would be a goal accomplished. Thank you. This is Zaby. Like me on Facebook at Anime, Video Games, and More. And have a great day.